Okay, we are live and recording. Okay, so welcome everyone. Today is a new event. We've been doing a lot lately, and today we are going to learn a lot about BDD, Cucumber, from Cătălin Tudose, that he is here to share his knowledge. But first things first, I'm going to share a little presentation about who we are. So, application window. Oh yeah. So, okay. So welcome everyone to this new Barcelona JAG session. Today we are hosting Cătălin Tudose, coming from Turkey, if I'm right.
No, Romania.
Romania, sorry.
Romania.
Okay, from Romania. So, yeah, he's going to share a lot of things about BDD. So, who we are? We are the Barcelona JAG with more than 1,500 members, and we've been running since 2012, doing events, well, more or less monthly, twice a month, and in some cases even more. And in some seasons we tend to do less than that when we are organizing the Barcelona JBC and Conf, that I openly invite everyone to follow and to try to be in the conference whenever we announce dates for this or next year, depending on the current situation everywhere. Okay, so we meet to share ideas about technology, about different frameworks, usually related Java, but not always. So we've covered a lot of things that I will show in a second. These are the ways to contact us or to follow our different content. Mainly, we use the Meetup link. So register there is free, and you will be notified of all our events. Also in Twitter, and you can join the Slack community in order to share your thoughts or to ask questions. And use our YouTube channel also to review our past events that we have recorded from the meetups or even from the conference. And finally, the link to the conference main site, where you can have news about dates, call for papers, and everything. As I said, we've covered different technologies in all those years. From Amazon Web Services, TDD, Neo4j, well, you see here, Kubernetes, Quarkus, or Spring, lots of them. So not only Java. And we are very proud of our last edition of JBC and Conf. We were more than 700 attendees with more than 70 speakers during 3 days, covering lots of topics, workshops. So it was amazing, and we are very proud. Let's hope for the next edition to happen someday. Here are some pictures in order for you to have, a view of what it was, the conference. And yeah, I hope you have this feeling of, I want to be there. So let's hope to meet you there. And nothing could be possible without the help of all our team, all the members during the JBC and Conf and during the year organizing all the events and activities. Our next events, well, in March 25th, we will have an event in Spanish. COVID y trabajo remoto, si ha cambiado para siempre el desarrollo de software. It's a panel with 5 speakers. that they will talk about this new paradigm for most of people and the same for some. Another point is that I need to say thank you to Jakarta to provide this crowdcast connection and to be able to stream this talk in YouTube too. So thank you very much. Follow the Jakarta website and Twitter handle to be notified about the changes on the specification and the different sub-projects. So nothing more from my side. If you want to share anything as a speaker, or if you want to have something, any topic covered by any speaker, please contact us and we will try to arrange or your talk or try to find someone to talk. Or even if you want your company to provide any speaker, please contact us and we will try to arrange it. So now it's time for Cătălin. He's an experienced software engineer working with Java since the 2000s. So it's a lot of years working with it. And now he's going to talk about developing Java BDD applications with Cucumber. He will do a proper introduction of himself, mentioning the books he has written, the tutorials, and the videos. So please pay attention to this great talk. And well, nothing more from my side. It's the stage is yours, Cătălin. So whenever you want, you can share your screen.
Gracias. Thank you, Jonathan. I will immediately share my screen now. Just let me know I think it's fine now, right?
Yes, totally fine.
Glad to meet you here. Thanks for this opportunity to join Barcelona Java user group. My name is Cătălin Tudose. I am born and I have lived almost my entire life in Romania. Currently, I am acting as a Java and web technologies expert at Luxoft Romania in Bucharest. As Jonathan was saying during the presentation, I have more than 20 years in software development. Since 2000, very early 2000, most of my time was dedicated to Java and to the technologies around it. I am also an author at Manning. I have recently published a book called JUnit in Action, and I have developed 6 courses and 1 project for Pluralsight. I will briefly come back to this idea by the end of our talk. Now, we are focusing on how to develop Java BDD or behavior-driven development applications with Cucumber. Why do we need BDD? What is BDD? How we arrive to BDD? You may be very familiar with the idea of TDD or test-driven development. It starts with a simple but very powerful idea. It says, I would like to first test something that I am going to write later. And it provides this cycle of test code refactor. Say, let's write a test that will check some functionality. The functionality is not yet there. But after writing the test and after the test is expected to fail, you are supposed to write ideally the shortest piece of code that will make that test pass. And then eventually you are going to do some refactoring to improve the internal structure of your code while still it keeps its external behavior. And this is a strong and powerful idea because it will always make you write code that already meets some requirements. It's very nice, but it also comes with some limitations. First of all, tests are tightly coupled to the implementation. You have to know in very much detail what your software is going to do in order to write the good tests, because you are going to be focused on a method or a class or on some group of methods in order to test them. So you have to know in detail what you are going to do. But you are making sure you are doing the things right. Your software is supposed to have very little bugs. However, the business goals are neglected. You don't have an overall image about what your software is supposed to do in order to address the business needs and which these business needs are. And here comes BDD, which we may say that it started from TDD. Its evolution, its concept, its idea, and its evolution started from TDD. We may define it as a methodology for developing IT solutions that directly satisfy the business requirements. So you are going to be driven by these business goals. You will be focused on adding business value to the application, because if we go TDD, we're saying that we are doing the things right. But if the software that we're developing and the functionalities that we're adding don't satisfy the business needs, they may be of very little use for the end user of the application. So you are going not only to make the things right, but you are also going to make sure that you are doing the right thing. And we have to say that BDD is also a great vehicle for facilitating the communication between the software developer and the business analyst. They have to communicate, they have to understand each other about what needs to be done, what the software needs to do. And they may facilitate their communication through the BDD process and through the scenarios and examples that we are going to detail immediately. As a vehicle for our demonstration, we have a simple flights management application. We have a company that is managing some flights and some passengers. Flights are of a few types. A flight may be economy, business, and premium flight. And passengers may be of two types. They may be regular passengers or VIP passengers. And the company maintains some policies in order to allow the passengers to be added to join a flight or to be removed from a flight. I'm going to briefly explain here such a policy for adding a passenger to a flight. First, we have to decide, we have to answer to this question, is the flight economy? If the flight is economy, we are going to immediately approve the request. Otherwise, if the flight is not economy, not everyone may join a non-economy flight. And we ask, is the passenger VIP? If the passenger is VIP, we approve the request. Otherwise, we reject the request. And this is the policy for allowing people to be added to a flight. It has to realize some conditions. Of course, we need to implement. I'm going to move here to a first approach. This is the application that is providing, this passenger class. The passenger has a name and we know if he or she is a VIP or not. We have a flight base class abstract that has an ID and a set of passengers, and we are maintaining these two methods, abstract for now, that are embedding the logic for adding a passenger and for removing a passenger to the flight. Of course, we extended this class and we implemented here this add passenger and remove passenger for economy flight. just a quick look here. So we see that everyone may join an economy flight, but if he or she is VIP, we don't allow him or her to be removed. And we also have a policy for a business flight, adding passenger and removing passenger, and a policy for premium flight, adding a passenger and removing a passenger. And we want to test these things. A first approach that will be in the spirit of behavior-driven development, but without using any framework, is this full JUnit 5 approach. I wrote here these tests. I'm not going to get in all the details, just to run it. Remember, we have 3 types of flights, 2 types of passengers. We want to test the functionality, so our first thought is that we have 3 multiplied by 2 equals 6 tests that we need to write in order to verify the functionality. We may use 6 separate methods in order to verify this functionality, but I will demonstrate how JUnit 5 may be used with its really nice features in order to make testing simpler and clearer. Instead of writing the 6 tests that I was talking about, I used the JUnit 5 features, and the tests are looking a little different now. See here that you will be able to read them directly. Just in plain English or in some other plain language. You may write them in Spanish, for example, but we can really read them. What it is about. Given there is a premium flight, when we have a VIP passenger, then you can add and remove him from a premium flight. So you will immediately understand what the application needs to do. Everything is expressed in plain language. And which was our approach? I wrote this airport test, and it included some nested tests. What is a nested test? Because it is a concept introduced by JUnit 5. It is very similar to a nested class. We are aware of the fact that in Java we may write a class inside another class, in which case these classes are really tightly coupled. And I decided here to write this airport test. Inside it, I'm writing another class. I have to mark it with this nested JUnit 5 annotation. And I also wrote a business flight test nested class and a premium flight test nested class. So airport test top class has 3 nested test classes. And inside each test class, we have another level of nesting, writing here about regular passenger and about VIP passenger. If we look at a method with this name, this is the way JUnit 4 was going. Usually you were writing these names, I'm testing this and that. Eventually you were inserting what you were expecting. But this brings to long method names. You have to hard code everything at the level of the name of the method. And here comes JUnit 5 with this nice feature. Besides this nested test, we have this display name annotation, and we may label our test methods or test classes. You see here, I label display name given there is an economy flight. When we have a regular passenger, then you can add and remove him from an economy flight. These are the things that are displayed when running these tests. You will be able to quickly understand what the application is about and what it does. This is a first taste of behavior-driven development. We may say that this is a very first taste of behavior-driven development without using not yet any particular framework, just our JUnit 5 usual tests, but organized in a better way and labeled in a really nice way. And what is really important to notice here is that we are using here given, when, and then. These are BDD keywords. I will show you how a scenario in BDD style may look like. We're going to briefly arrive to these features from the Cucumber side. Given means some precondition. You are given something. When you or the application are doing some action, then I'm expecting something to happen. I'm expecting a result or a consequence. And this is the usual scenario, or one of the usual scenarios that you will use when describing what your application needs to do from the behavior point of view. You are going to use these keywords given, when, then. And I was saying that for the moment, our first application was using only JUnit 5, but we were able to simulate the idea of behavior-driven development. We have to create an application that does this and that and that, and it is very easy to understand even by non-technical people, and it is very easy to make the communication between the business analyst and the software developer about what needs to be done. But now it's time to introduce Cucumber as a behavior-driven development framework. I'm moving here to the second approach. These classes are absolutely the same, and the functionality is absolutely the same, but we would like to change the way we are testing our application. We would like to introduce Cucumber, and first of all, it is introduced here. I added these two new dependencies that were not, of course, we didn't need them in the pure JUnit 5 approach. It is a Maven project. It is managed by Maven, and I added into this pom.xml Maven file these new dependencies. Now, I would like to use them. First of all, I would like now to describe the scenarios. What does the application need to do? Cucumber provides these feature files. They are called feature files, and they have this feature extension. And in general, in such a file, you will define a feature to be implemented. Passengers policy, the company follows a policy of adding and removing passengers depending on the passenger type and on the flight type. And this feature is described by these 5 scenarios. You may imagine a real life situation when a business analyst will write such a feature file and will say, hello, software developer, this is what you need to implement in order to make the application functional, working, and addressing what the end user needs. And you may take these scenarios also as acceptance criteria in order to verify the functionality. Okay, this is a feature file. How do we transpose it in code? How do we move our tests in Cucumber tests? Have here a passenger policy and a Cucumber test. First, I will take a look together with you at this passenger policy that is implementing the tests. We are verifying the same things that were previously verified using only JUnit 5. But now let's have a look here. I have here some new annotations, given, when, then. Where do they come from? Of course, they come from Cucumber. Remember that I introduced here these dependencies and I am using them here. And there is a one-to-one correspondence here between the steps. These are called steps in BDD terminology, these steps from the scenarios, and come on, and these methods from here. So there was a given, there is an economy flight step here, we find it again here. There was an when we have a regular passenger step here, we find it here, and of course it is the software developer mission to describe, to write the effective method that will really mean what that step represents. What does it mean that we are given an economy flight? What does it mean that now we have a regular passenger and we are expecting something to happen? So if we go from top to down here, we see that all the steps that were previously defined in this feature file are present here. A one-to-one correspondence. Come on. How do we run this test? I needed to write this particular Cucumber test class that will run everything from here. Let me run it. What's happening? I think it's a little blocked. Let's wait a little. Because I see I can commute to the other Cucumber test. Okay, this is here. Something is blocking this. Okay. Sorry for this. Okay, finally it started. Sorry for this. I don't know the reason why it took so long and it blocked. I was saying that I was running this Cucumber test, and this is our entry point in the Cucumber testing. You see that it has some annotation: run with Cucumber options. Pretty means that it will display nicely these steps, and it has to look for the features on the class path in the features folder, and it will find this resources folder is already brought by Maven on the class path, and inside it we are having this folder features, and it will say, so I'm finding this feature file here, or more feature files, because we'll see that we'll have an examples with more feature files. Say, okay, it is here where I will find the feature file and the scenarios, and this is the class that is corresponding to this passenger feature, and it is implementing the tests. How do the tests look like? You see, you can read them in plain English. I'm saying you may write them in Spanish eventually with the Spanish diacritics, because these annotations will accept Unicode. You will be able to immediately read this scenario: economy flight, regular passenger. Given there is an economy flight, when we have a regular passenger, then you can add and remove him from an economy flight, and you cannot add a regular passenger to an economy flight more than once. Let's have a look and compare to how it was with pure JUnit 5. It was also looking nice, but here you see it was nested. We are having the nested tests. Here with Cucumber, we are able to read this scenario easily, more easy than in the case of JUnit, pure JUnit 5. One more thing that we would like to emphasize here: this passenger policy here has 157 lines, while the airport test, the original test that I wrote only with JUnit 5, is having 207 lines. So there is a shrink, a gain of about 25%. Where does it come from? It comes from the fact that I don't have to repeat some code here, because I had to introduce here the passengers for some particular tests and to repeat a few things. So it is also providing some gain from the point of view of the code that you need to write. Just to emphasize something more here, we have, given there is economy flight and given there is an economy flight, the same step here twice. How many methods do you need to write here? Only one, given there is an economy flight, and it will address both this step and this step, which are in fact the same. They represent the same logic. What about these annotations given when then? I was saying that they are particular Cucumber annotations. From the point of view, from the semantic point of view, there is no difference between them. Cucumber will see, okay, there is a step given here, there is a when, then I just have to execute it. It doesn't care about the name of the step. They are really important from the point of view of understanding and of transmitting the message about what the application needs to do to people, to the business analyst, to the developer, to the end user, to whoever is interested, to whichever stakeholder is interested about the functionality of the application. Okay. Let me show a few more things. You may ask yourself, how do these methods, how do I write these methods? Just a moment, it seems that is also a little blocked here. Okay, how do I write these methods? How do I annotate them? Do I have to take everything by hand? Let's make a test here. Let's presume that this method was not yet implemented. I take a look here, and I see these two steps highlighted, given there is an economy flight. It means that now immediately Cucumber, or more exactly the Cucumber plugin, will realize that step is not there. How do I implement this plugin? How do I install this plugin? I go here to File, Settings, Plugins. And if I write here Cucumber, I am provided a few alternatives. You see that I have here this Gherkin plugin installed. What is Gherkin? I haven't mentioned Gherkin until now. Gherkin is the language of writing the feature files and the scenarios. So Cucumber is the framework, while Gherkin is the language, to write the scenarios. So I added this Gherkin to my application, and let's presume now that I will execute again. Remember that I removed those. I removed that method that was implementing this given there is economy flight. Let's wait a little. It's executing again. It says here test ignored because I removed that step. And it is detecting, but not only this. Say, hello, you can implement missing steps with the snippets below. And it is directly providing us the method correctly annotated and with a significant name. You just take it, put it here, passengers policy. You see, it is the same signature and the same annotation as the one suggested by the Cucumber plugin. And I can go here, copy, paste it, and insert the code. So if you have a feature file that you received from the business analyst or that you built yourself, you can easily and immediately get some skeleton of what needs to be implemented in the Java tests. I would like to show something more here about the feature file. You may directly execute it with a little configuration. I will show it. If you want to get a very quick feedback about how it is going, you may directly execute the feature file. It will just take a little more. Come on. So you don't need to go to execute always Java code. Maybe it is more convenient to see this quick feedback, test pass 6, and I'm immediately told 6 scenarios, 6 passed, 22 steps, 22 passed. In order to do this, I needed to go here to make some configuration. To add this feature passenger policy to be executed, I have to provide this Cucumber main class. Glue is in fact the name of this package, and the feature or folder password to find the feature files is here, where we are having this feature file. One more thing to bring to discussion here. I'll go back to this originally pure JUnit 5 test. I would like to make sure that everything that was tested in the JUnit 5 pure BDD version is still tested afterwards with Cucumber. I will run the test with code coverage. Code coverage is an important metric of the quality of the tests. Of course, it is not the whole truth and nothing but the truth that will bring us, but it is an important metric. I have here 100% code coverage. Of course, in real applications, it is really hard to get this 100%, but for our business logic, it was possible. And I was saying that I would like to compare with the code coverage obtained with the help of Cucumber. I don't want to get at a lower level. Have to make sure that everything is tested the same way. Have here 100%. I was saying it is not important, and in practice really hard to get or to get closer to 100%, but for our demonstration it was important to emphasize that this important factor, that is the code coverage, is maintained when I migrated from the pure JUnit 5 BDD approach to the Cucumber approach. My plan, I still have one more feature added to the application, because I would like to demonstrate some other possibilities of Cucumber, like parameterized tests. But because we have already covered this pure JUnit 5 BDD approach, and we have already introduced Cucumber, maybe it's time to take some questions. And we'll have some other session questions. I suggest to have some questions now, and a second session of questions at the end of the talk.
For the moment, there is no questions. I think Nacho
We may wait one more minute. Maybe people were not expecting to be offered the possibility to ask questions now.
Oh,
We may wait 1 more minute.
yeah. There's one question
just to be
here.
this part to be fresh.
Yeah,
where do I see?
Where in questions below. There are some before each in your code, but how do you get before all and after all behavior with Cucumber?
Okay. Let me go back here. The before each and after each was here at the level of JUnit 5. I may introduce a before all to be executed before all tests, and an after all to be executed before all tests. How do I provide a similar behavior here? The first solution that I'm thinking about now is that I am providing a step here that I write here, and I implement only once, corresponding to that step, and it will be executed after the execution of all steps. This may be an approach. I'm not sure here if we can directly use this after all annotation. Or after all, which is a JUnit 5 annotation. Let's try a quick test now, but I'm not sure what it is going. Just to see, it's an interesting question, and I'm thinking about this alternative. Let's see if I can if I am running this. Not sure, I'm testing this for the first time. It just came across my mind, this idea. If we can mix the Cucumber behavior with the JUnit 5.1. Let's see. Scenarios. Maybe it doesn't work here. I don't see. I think the Cucumber engine does not execute it. So I would go with the creation of a particular step to be executed also by Cucumber in order to correspond to this after all. But I will do more research because you provided me some idea. Any other question?
Yes, there is one from Nacho. What's your opinion about a Spock framework and its relationship with BDD?
There are many alternatives for implementing this BDD idea. You may use Cucumber. Of course, our talk is about Cucumber. You may use Spock. You may use JBehave. you may use for testing the interaction with the front end, you may use Selenium. So what I worked mostly with is Cucumber, JBehave, Cucumber first of all, JBehave, and Selenium. If a framework is providing the BDD style, and all the frameworks Spoke, Cucumber, JBehave, and Selenium are providing this BDD idea, is a good thing. Whichever you will would like to choose, you may choose any one of these ones, is depending on a few factors. It may be your preference, it may be the preference of the project. Why should I recommend from my side? I should recommend Cucumber. Why? Not because I'm presenting it now, but because besides the fact that it is a BDD implementation, it is still growing. The other frameworks are a little older, while if you take a look at the code developed for Cucumber, you are going to see that there are commits every week. And this does not happen for the other frameworks that I mentioned. So I would say that Cucumber is still growing and is more dynamic. I would go with the first option if you would like to implement something new, or if you would like to acquire something new now with Cucumber. And of course with Selenium if you would like to test the front end. Cucumber is excellent for the back end, but Selenium is mainly designed for front end. So I will go with Cucumber as a first option, Selenium as an alternative option for front end, because of the reasons that make them preferable towards Spoke and the other ones that I mentioned. Anything else?
No, that was the last one. So we can move on.
Okay. I will introduce some more Cucumber features. You may be in the situation when you would like your test to be parameterized. Just to briefly show you here, I have a slide here. We have a policy here about calculating some bonus points. It's simple to describe it in words and in the schema. First, we ask ourselves, is the passenger VIP? If the passenger is the VIP, the bonus points are calculated by dividing the mileage by 10. Otherwise, the bonus points is calculated by dividing the mileage by 20. So you see that we are already starting to talk about numbers and parameters. Okay. I introduce here this mileage class, which keeps some logic for calculating these bonus points. Let's see a new feature file, because this is what we are interested mostly about in our today presentation. A new feature file you see here with some examples and with some parameters. The terminology of Cucumber is, instead of saying scenario outline. And when I say scenario outline, I'm expecting some examples to come afterwards. So scenario outline, regular passenger bonus policy. Given we have a regular passenger with a mileage, when the regular passenger travels mileage 1 and mileage 2 and mileage 3, and we see here 3 parameters, and that they correspond here into this examples table, then the bonus points of the regular passenger should be points, and I see here this fourth column in the examples table. So I can parameterize this test, and I can provide as many examples as I need. How does this translate here into this bonus policy class? Okay. You see that we have some parameterized tests. How does a parameterized test look like? The method has a parameter, and here at the level of the annotation, I have here this regular expression, \\d plus means any integer, and it is a correspondence between this regular expression and this parameter here. Also here I have a method with 3 parameters, mileage1, mileage2, mileage3, corresponding to what we saw in the scenario, and 1, 2, 3 regular expressions here corresponding to each of the parameters from here. Let's run the test now. Okay, well, immediately. Okay, it executed. We don't care only about this bonus policy now. It executed also the passenger policy. You see here that we have examples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples. Each row of the table has been provided as an input for the methods. And when we have here this line, I can read it. Given we have a regular passenger with a mileage, when the regular passenger travels 349 and 319 and 623, then the bonus points of the regular passenger should be 64. It replaces these parameters from the table in the scenarios, and you will be able to read everything in usual language. So this is very useful if you would like to implement parameterized tests, if you would like to provide a set of data to check your execution against. Maybe it will finally execute for 4 of these lines and it will fail at some. This is a really nice Cucumber feature. Probably you will divide yourself between writing feature files of this kind and writing feature files of this kind. Eventually, you may provide some file here to be provided as input or something to check against. So this was the demonstration about scenario outlines and about the parameterization of the tests. I'm still looking forward for other questions.
No, at the moment there are no questions. Nacho also pointed that there is a similar approach for Mockito and BDD. Sorry.
A similar approach. These are 2 things that may go together, BDD and Mockito. What is Mockito and why do we need mocking objects and mock framework? Not necessarily Mockito. You would like to do some testing, and your testing is dependent on some external resources. And these resources are hard to configure, do not yet exist, are not under your control. Let's suppose that you would like to test some device when the temperature is 5 degrees Celsius, some sensor will trigger here and it will execute something. But you're depending on some external condition, 5 degrees Celsius. You don't always get temperature. It is outside your control. In this case, you may mock some external device like the thermometer and say with Mockito or with some other mocking framework, and we'll say, I would like you to provide me this. Whenever I ask you which is the temperature, I would like you to provide me this 5 degrees Celsius temperature. And in that case, I want to see that my test passes and my sensor is triggered. Mock objects are really needed at the level what is called system testing, when you put more things together. Here I will go and explain this concept, what is called testing pyramid. What we first see when we think about testing, we think about unit testing. I was talking at the beginning about testing methods, about testing classes. That is something, a unit that you test. And if you think about such a pyramid, you may think that that pyramid is at the level, at the ground level. On top of it, we say, I would like to test more components that are under my control, but they have to integrate together. More packages that need to communicate and need to integrate. And this comes as a next level on top of the unit testing. Next level is system testing. System testing thinks about a whole system, including here external devices that were external conditions that are not under control. And here, as I was saying, mock objects, mock frameworks, eventually Mockito, which is really popular mocking framework, may come. And we go and say, we test, and our software is really working fine together with some external systems. And BDD comes on top of this because it is at the level, at the very top level of this pyramid, which is called user acceptance testing. I was saying your system may work perfectly, your system may work very well, including in combination with some external devices or some external resources, but you would like to make sure that it addresses the business needs. Does it satisfy what the user needs? Is your application valuable from the point of view of the business? When you add this feature, even if it is working fine, does it satisfy the expectations of the user? So BDD, because we started from BDD and mock objects, in particular Mockito, may go together, but somehow at different levels of the testing pyramid, as I was explaining it. Anything else?
No, not for the moment.
No.
We can move on.
Because we are by the end, and we just discussed about this mocking and the testing pyramid and integration testing and user acceptance testing and system testing. Just to tell you that I have recently authored this JUnit in Action 3rd edition. It is published November 2020, so less than 6 months ago. It talks about, first of all, about JUnit 5 and its really nice features, but also about migrating from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5, about mock objects, and here I'm addressing not only Mockito but also Power Mock and Easy Mock, about test-driven development, about behavior-driven development with Cucumber and with JBehave, testing the front end with Selenium, and last but not least, the testing pyramid that I was talking about just a little earlier. And just to let you know, I have also authored a few courses at the Pluralsight. You may find me here. Some of them are related to automated testing topics, TDD with JUnit 5, Java BDD fundamentals. This is directly related to the Cucumber idea that we discuss here, and implementing a test pyramid strategy in Java. It was exactly what I explained earlier. Migrating from the JUnit 4 to the JUnit 5, and some non-automated testing topics, aspect-oriented programming with Spring AOP, Java persistence with Hibernate fundamentals. So if you would like to get in touch with me, you may easily find me on Twitter. This is my Twitter ID, or on LinkedIn. I am easily to be found on both networks. Thank you for your interest in this presentation and for your attention. If there are still questions, I'm still here and available to answer eventually. Otherwise, I really appreciate your interest, and I look forward to meet you in some other event. And thanks a lot to Jonathan for organizing this event.
No, thank you. Thanks to you for sharing your knowledge and your time. There are no questions at the moment, but in order for people to make them, or we can simply just go, I will share the answers for the polls that we created. So which are your expectations? Well, 4 people said learn BDD, 7 people said surprise me. I hope you have surprised them. Okay. Which is your previous experience working with TDD? 3 said high, 2 said medium, and 5 said low. So there's quite a lot of people using TDD. Which is your previous experience working with BDD? 2 said high, 3 said medium, and 5 said low. Apparently, less people using BDD. And are you familiar with any of these BDD tools, Cucumber, JBehave, Fitness? Most of the people said Cucumber, 7 people, and 4 people said none. So apparently there's no user of JBehave or Fitness in the audience. So, well, this is everything. Thank you very much, Cătălin, and thank you very much the audience for being here. Remember, this event is recorded here in Crowdcast. Just use the same link that you used to come here, or just simply go to the YouTube channel for the Barcelona Jack, and you will have the video in our channel. Thank you very much. Stay safe, and well, have a happy rest of the week. Thank you very much. See you.